can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, and I've been waiting for this moment for all of my life. Oh Lord, can you feel it coming in the air tonight? Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord. Well, if you told me you were drowning, I would not lend a hand. I've seen your face before, my friend, and I don't know if you know who I am, but I was there and I saw what you did. I saw it with my own two eyes. So you can wipe off that grin. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies, and I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, and I've been waiting for this moment for all of my life. Oh Lord, can you feel it coming in the air tonight? Oh Lord, and I've been waiting for this moment for all of my life. Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord. Well, I remember, don't worry. How could I ever forget? It's the first time, the last time we ever met. But I know the reasons why you keep your silence up. No, you don't fool me, 'cause the hurt doesn't show, but the pain still grows. It's no stranger to you and me, and I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, and I've been waiting for this moment for all of my life. Oh Lord, now can you feel it coming in the air tonight? Oh Lord, and I've been waiting for this moment for all of my life. Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord.
Can you guys feel it in the air? It's March 5th, 2021, and welcome to the Tori Says Show. There is a lot that is happening, a lot that happened yesterday, actually, unseen yet. I have received tons and tons of phone calls from people that have seen what is happening, some on the defensive, some rejoicing. Now, tell us, Tori, what is it? Well, you have to see it. But we can start talking about it. I was going to talk about it earlier, but I thought I'd talk about it later. The one thing that we noticed is that our president denounced, organizations like the WHO, kept the UN on check for their activities and actions, pushed really, really hard to ensure that things were monitored. And yet we feel, well, we're being told and we are being reprogrammed to believe that what they say is true and that what is happening is false and what they say is happening is true. This is how the devil works. This is how evil works. It confuses you to not understand what is really happening. The more you're confused, the more he wins. That's the way it is. And today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about how things are happening. And we're also going to touch base on this, these things from far, far away. And far, far away is, it depends how you see it. Do you see it as something as a distance, as a time distance, or are they one and the same? So before we get into it, I want us to remember that it's March Madness. Hey, anybody fill their brackets up? I've already got my finals. It's Brennan and Clapper against America. So fill up those brackets. Make sure you fill them in. Excuse me. And today, like I said, we're going to talk about many things. Some of them are called the waves of probability, how alternate timelines exist by way of quantum explanation. And we're also going to look at cubism. Yeah, that's Q-B-I-S-M. We're gonna start to take a grasp on the many worlds approach through quantum. So it's important to know this as we visit areas of space we don't like to talk about, areas of history or lore or myth or whatever that nobody wants to talk about. And how does this fit in? Well, there's a method to it, right? Because as you can see, everything we do talk about kind of fits in, even though it's not really fitting in at the time. These vaccines, these notions, these lawsuits. Didn't I say that the way we're going to find election fraud is by looking at states and cities and races that were not being contested? Damn. Kind of looks like that's relevant now. So I want us to look from Chinese eyes, what the Chinese consider the five eyes. I think it's important that we see what the Chinese consider five eyes, one of the biggest atrocities to mankind. Well, because sovereignty is kicked in the tush with it. Listen to this really short report.
Five Eyes is an alliance comprising Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and the United States for joint cooperation in signals intelligence. The origins of the club dates back to the Second World War. Britain and the U.S. cooperated with radio transmitters to intercept enemy exchanges. This cooperation continued after the war, and the alliance expanded to 5 by 1956. As communications technology developed dramatically, their activities evolved. It expanded to human intelligence, counter-espionage, spatial intelligence, and financial and transportation security cooperation. Professor Sheni from Fudan University has revealed in a recently published article that the Five Eyes have been exchanging classified information on China's foreign activities. He says the U.S. is mainly responsible for the coordination of Chinese investment intelligence services, and Australia has committed to defending against China's political influence. Whistleblower Edward Snowden once described the alliance as a supranational intelligence organization that doesn't answer to the known laws of its own countries. Timothy Ulrich, CGTN.
And that is a very concise report. But you know what's omitted from it? You saw the dates. We've been talking about this. 1948. I mean, Nazis. Oh my gosh, is that coming into focus now? And you guys are so well versed. The more rubbish, the more congestion, the more misinformation that is out there. You're like, wait, stop. I know history. Stop. I don't care to list. Stop with your misinformation. Stop with your decode. Stop. I know history. I'm good. Thanks. Because this is all going to be coming out. All of it is going to be coming out in full force. And people are going to be like, wait a minute. How did this even happen? How did we even miss this? Well, because there are many things that you need when you are speaking. You know, a spy pact created by 5 nations. You know what nation you need to focus on? Focus on Australia. Think why Australia. Think why was it that Australia was put on a spotlight when our president first came into office? Think why did they spy on that call? We already knew that they were going to leak calls. I mean, are we leaking any calls from Biden? Have we asked for any calls from Biden? Are we looking into any calls from Biden? But for some reason, Australia was leaked. Why Australia? I want you to think, what is the importance of the Aussies who have been kicked out and not allowed to use Facebook anymore? What is this obsession with Australia? Well, I did tell you that New Zealand, right? And I've even written this in an article, is where you can go to hack, access legally, right? Legally per se, legally per the Five Eyes, legally what they allow. If you have a clearance and you're on the system, guess what? You go to New Zealand, you can access with like admin, that's how easy it is, to access any information across the 5 nations, without logging in. So if I was in England and I wanted to access intelligence information that was housed in the United States or Canada or Australia or New Zealand, it would log me. It would take a picture of me. It would take my biometrics, and then I would access. But in New Zealand, it's like, there it is. Here's the terminal. Access away. There's no documentation of who accesses things. So now what you have to think of is New Zealand was a place that all of the Democrats of the previous corrupt impeach 44 administration were traveling to while President Trump was being fought from the minute he got into office. They were all going to New Zealand. A bunch of them were going, even Comey, right? Flirting with the idea, filed for New Zealand citizenship. So that's number one. But why Australia? Why did they leak the Australian call out of all? And now Australia has been banned by Facebook. You're not allowed to have Facebook if you're in Australia. So I want you to think about that. Why Australia, and why did they access everything from New Zealand? Well, that's where they can go in and nobody takes any, any record of who accesses. So fair enough. But then why their neighbor Australia? What's so, because, New Zealand and Australia and Canada are controlled by the same entity. So it's not really 5 eyes, is it? It's like 2 eyes. It's the crown in America. Let's be straight. All right. Let's be straight. Let's just riddle it down to the hardcore facts. Crown, United States of America. Makes you think, could it be just 1 eyes anyway? Think. Could it be just 1 eyes anyway? I mean, these 1 eyes, nobody told you. You know who got vaccinated first for COVID? Do you know who got vaccinated first for COVID? Do you know? Gorillas. Let's go back to how it all started. Fucking Harambe. That's what's up. So gorillas have been getting vaccinated for COVID-19. Are you understanding where they're going with this? Are you understanding? Animals being vaccinated Five Eyes, supposedly the Chinese say, have been spying on them. What if? What if? This is just a huge what if. What if? 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 Something was up with the Facebook servers in Australia that can give access to people to some information. What if, what if, what if, what if, what if? Some of the servers in Australia were actually shared with the WHO. What if, what if, what if? WHO, Australia, gorillas. What? Do you know where the first gorilla was vaccinated for COVID? 2019 in Australia. First gorilla ever vaccinated for COVID-19 before you knew about COVID-19, before it was a pandemic, COVID-19, and that was in Australia, COVID-19. So now trend is that gorillas are actually being now vaccinated in the United States too now. Wait, 2 years later. Shit. Sounds super legit. Sounds like nothing to see here. I just gave you that because it'll come into focus soon. There's no need. I wanted you to understand. Damn, that's right. Australian Prime Minister call with Trump was leaked. All these clowns had traveled to New Zealand and also applied for citizenship. New Zealand is the only place you can access intelligence information without logging in. Who was accessing what? Australia was thrown under the bus. Australia had the first gorilla vaccinated for COVID-19 before everybody knew about COVID-19 in 2019. And that was done in Australia, and Facebook has banned Australia. Good. Check. Just remember those facts. So that way, as the disinformation and misinformation and actual information come in, you can parse it through with your gut. All you need is the foundations. Now, let's move on. I want us to just talk a little bit about what's going on in our Congress. And what was interesting is that there is a Congresswoman who spoke up against the George Floyd bill. Oh, and by the way, remember, all of this stuff started with Harambe, and you're going to be like, what? Harambe was a big deal. You may have not realized it, but it'll come full circle pretty quickly this spring. You'll understand what Harambe really was. All right, so here we go. Are you ready? Let's find out what is going on with this George Floyd bill.
Today, the House of Representatives actually canceled today's session, and the Senate may be forced to do the same. There are worries about more violence from protesters there. Let's check in with our national correspondent, Logan Raddick, on Capitol Hill, right at the Capitol. He has the latest. Logan.
Hey, good afternoon. The House of Representatives canceled its session today following a warning from the Capitol Police and other intelligence agencies that a, quote, identified militia group was presenting a threat today here on Capitol Hill. But ever since the riot on January 6th, the security has been incredibly tight here. And as you can see behind me, there's a wall in front of the Capitol building. And right now we're also inside a wall surrounding the Capitol complex. It's about as secure as it can possibly get. The Capitol complex remains one of the most tightly guarded locations in the country after it was overrun by rioters just under 2 months ago. There's fencing surrounding the entire complex with office buildings walled off, with additional barriers inside the main fence protecting the Capitol building and the Supreme Court. Along with a 12-foot fence topped with razor wire, multiple armed National Guardsmen and police officers are stationed at every checkpoint. And then to get inside the building, you have to pass more officers, show your credentials, and get through a metal detector. Now, while the House won't be meeting today, it already approved a version of the coronavirus relief bill.
Before we get to that, what happened yesterday with them canceling their session was a success. I want you to think why Pelosi, Hoyer, and all of them. say, well, Q said, but Q hasn't posted. But Q said something's happening on March, but Q hasn't posted. But Q said, wait. I thought Q was a conspiracy theory. I thought you guys already knew who Q was because you arrested some dude, right? I thought you already knew everything. I mean, you even got the contractors in there that were supposedly monitoring the boards when they were working for you. So if you knew, right? If you knew who Q is, even if you thought it was the president, for example, because there's a lot of people saying that, or if you thought it was JFK Jr., who is dead, by the way, and whoever you thought, if you know your enemy, right, then you, right, have no qualms and feel no threat. So with a small little group where they couldn't get in, they were built like juggernauts, right? In a fort like no other. There was no way anyone was going to slide in. Why are they so scared of something that's just a conspiracy theory? Because they know just how powerless they are. About powerless against what? See, they are worried. Why? When do you fear something? The only time you fear something is two things. One, if you know your enemy and you know what they're capable of, right? Or two, when you have no idea what you are up against. So what you have to think is, which is it that terrifies them? That they know exactly how powerful whatever is, or is it that they don't know? That's a question you should think to yourself, because they're the ones that how is it said? It seems like Pelosi and Hoyer are QAnon believers. First of all, there's no such thing as QAnon. It's Q, and then the anonymous people that follow or listen or decode or assist or corroborate or share information about Q, because there's like so many different, everybody just calls themselves an anon. Depends. Anon means I'm just an anonymous something. Think about it. They're being called out that they believe in Q, which tells you what? They either fear that what they're up against, or that they still don't know what they're up against. I mean, that's what's up.
Members will likely have to vote again if the Senate approves changes in the coming days. Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz and his Republican colleagues say this bill barely targets coronavirus-related items.
And it's a total joke. It does almost anything except respond to the coronavirus. It spends hundreds of millions of dollars with globalist organizations. It even spends money here at home on Native American language preservation. I guess those could be useful things, but they don't belong in the coronavirus response. And the whole deal is they're trying to pass these bills so that they can subsidize the pathology of lockdowns. There is no subsidy that is better than freedom for our people. That's what we hope are proven in Florida.
The bill, as passed by the House, includes $1,400 direct payments to most Americans, plus $400 a week in unemployment benefits, while expanding the child tax credit. But they may have to vote again if the Senate makes changes to the legislation, which could very well happen. Oklahoma Senator James Lankford says nobody has been able to read the proposed bill thoroughly, and that he will join 13 Republican colleagues in forcing the Senate clerks to read it aloud on the Senate floor.
Then it's gone through radical changes on the Senate side. We hear it has at least. They wanted to drop a text that no one has seen on either side of the aisle, begin debate and amending immediately, and try to get it passed before anyone can see it. We're slowing it down. Thanks to Ron Johnson for that. To be able to go through the process and say, let's give this thing some daylight and see if that'll have some effect.
Senate Republican Whip John Thune of South Dakota says it could take about 10 hours to read the entire bill on the floor. And there's another controversial measure that just passed through the House last night. It's called H.R. 1, also known as the For the People Act, and it would automatically register people to vote, as well as limit states' authorities to remove people from voter rolls. Now, as for the security here on Capitol Hill, we know the House is not in session. Some representatives are still in their offices doing work. Senators are here on the Hill, but it's a lot quieter today, given this so-called threat that the Capitol Police have warned about.
Wait a minute. So you're saying that they want to register everyone automatically. How do you mean automatically? Like by birth, by school, by driver's license? Like how are you automatically registering them? Question number one. Question number two, you mean if someone's dead, the state's not allowed to remove them? Kind of like in Wisconsin, they had like 100 people born in 1850 fucking voting. Right? Is that what they want? They want to sequester the power? Man. Isn't it amazing? I mean, yesterday was it right there. You guys slotted your own people in there and you still missed it. Man, wait till you see who's really talking.
Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Logan. Well, as Logan was just mentioning, House Democrats are pushing that H.R. 1 bill that's aimed at overhauling the nation's election laws. Many Republicans, though, fear that this bill will disenfranchise American voters as it undermines election integrity, they say. Our next guest, Florida Congresswoman Kat Cammack, is one of those Republicans. Take a look at what she had to say regarding the H.R. 1 bill.
This bill will allow 16-year-olds to vote, give $25 vouchers to individuals to donate to the candidate of their choice, redefines free speech, triggers universal mail-in ballots, creates an election czar, and strips voter ID requirements, and so much more. This bill jeopardizes the future of Americans' freedoms of speech with new requirements for public disclosure of support of political campaigns and candidates. Mr. Speaker, we cannot claim to be protecting the rights and freedoms enshrined in our Constitution when the For the People Act, more aptly named the For the Politicians Act, is under consideration.
And joining us now to discuss is Congresswoman Kat Cammack herself. Thank you so much for joining us. Let us know what is your primary concern. I know amongst the listeners.
First of all, for those of you that can't see because you're listening on the podcast, she's actually quite cute. And I like her. She's cute.
That you just gave there on the floor, you're also saying that this basically is just a power grab from the top down.
Absolutely. And thanks for having me on this afternoon. You're right. It is pretty quiet up here on Capitol Hill, but it is. This is just a top-down power grab. Look, this is H.R. 1. I'm sitting in my office right now. This is the bill that no one has read. God knows what is tucked into this monstrosity. And if you can't read a bill, you shouldn't vote on it. And I guarantee you that my colleagues on the left have not read this bill. It's garbage. And the thing that I tell people who are in favor of this is if the Democrats have been so concerned about election integrity, why didn't they pursue this last Congress? And then don't we all recall during November and December where they said this was the best, most secure election that they've ever seen in their lifetime? Well, then why is H.R. 1 their top priority? Why all of a sudden the push for this new reform? And I like to tell people this 6-to-1 match that we're seeing of small dollar donations that taxpayers and corporations will be footing the bill for. Let me just paint this picture. AOC posts up some explosive video, name calling everybody a racist, you name it. She raises $1 million. Guess what? We're on the hook for the other $6 million. That's right. She will raise $6 million because of this 6-to-1 match, because the majority of her donations are small dollar donations. This is ludicrous. We are absolutely losing our constitutional republic. And this H.R. 1 is what the Democrats have as their top priority. This cannot stand.
I just want to know, why the fuck are we paying money to have a representative? I mean, have you thought about this? Why do we have to raise money and match money and give money to get this? I can't wait until this is gutted completely, because we're going to revamp this like Noah. There is no money. There is no money. I shouldn't have to pay you to be my representative. You chose to be my public voice, and I will support you. Now, why is there money? Oh, because we need advertising. Oh, because we need to travel. Great. So you should be able to travel, and your party should pay for that. How does the party raise money? By memberships. If the party is good, like if the GOP did its job and had people, then we would be like, yes, we would like to volunteer some of our dollars so that the person can travel. But other than that, I don't see why they need all this money. Why are they paying all these big companies? Why are we advertising? It's supposed to be about us, the people. Us, the people. We walk up to a candidate. We're like, I like you. Here's my money. Take it. I'd like you to use that as you wish. so that you can take a bus, rent a car, fly, and go ahead. We shouldn't need to wear signs and pins and stickers. We shouldn't. Voting is a private thing, isn't it? I mean, you don't want people to know like who you vote for. But look at how many scales we have. We have GOPs, we have RNCs, we have PACs, we have this, we have that. And then the PACs get money. And so the PACs are now, hey, are you going to do what I say? Because look, all these people gave me their money. And I won't give it to you if you don't do mine. So wait a minute. Why do we have all these gatekeepers with our money? I'm just saying. And why are we making laws that say you're going to get a $25 taxpayer, money, taxpayer dollars, so that you can fund who you want? I don't want my taxes going to AOC. I don't want my taxes going to Schiff. I don't want my taxes going to Schumer. I should have a say in where my money goes. That's completely unconstitutional. That you're just going to give someone my money to spend on someone that I may not approve of. That's not the way the Constitution works. And the fact that they're pushing shit they haven't read.
This is dangerous. This undermines our Constitution. It undermines our republic. We need the Senate to fight this. And I guarantee you, Americans, when they find out what's in this bill, it is going to terrify them.
Okay, Congresswoman, we wanted to address some comments you made, some very passionate words you had on the House floor regarding H.R. 1280, otherwise known as the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. Now, the House passed the bill, just the House, not the Senate. Let's take a look at some of what you had to say regarding that bill.
Now, as a member of the first responder family, I can say definitively on behalf of our officers that there is absolutely nothing that a good cop hates more than a bad cop. And as the wife of a first responder, this issue could not be more personal to me. My husband serves our local community as a firefighter and a SWAT medic for our local sheriff's department. And next to me here today, you see one of his SWAT vests. This is the same vest that he wore for 14 hours while on a massive manhunt for a man who had just been released from prison, who promptly raped and killed his girlfriend. It is the same vest that he wore while responding to a man who had barricaded himself with weapons, threatening to kill his own children. These are just some of the scenes that this vest and my husband has seen, like so many of our LEOs. But the real threat here is not the dangerous situations that my husband has seen in protecting his community. It is the fact that this bill, and by extension you, Mr. Speaker, want to take this vest off my husband's back. Because yes, what this bill does is take this kind of equipment off the backs of our men and women in uniform.
Congresswoman.
And so I have to agree and disagree on many things, but let's leave it at that. They're trying to strip policing. They want to federalize policing. They want to give it to robots. Now, here's where you're going to listen on a quick update today. Take a listen. This is interesting.
In the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, who is in the death of George Floyd, are now saying Chauvin held his knee on Floyd's neck for 9 minutes. Time-stamped police body camera video shows Chauvin's knee on Floyd's neck for at least 9 minutes, and not the 8 minutes and 46 seconds originally outlined in the initial criminal complaint. The trial against Chauvin starts Monday with jury selection. From across the country, prosecutors.
So we got jury selection on Monday for the George Floyd trial that went from 8:46 to 9 minutes. Look at the way that stuff changes. Like the initial one was so accurate. They changed it and they updated it, of course. We have to update things because, we need to do this. We need to update things so that people can get even more upset. We need to update things because that's what's up. Now, let's just visit a little bit on elections. Protesters at the Capitol supposedly yesterday. Let's take a look at these protesters quickly.
Heavy security at the Capitol today. That's after the DHS said a violent militia group planned to make trouble. But there were no signs of protesters anywhere in the area. NTD's Kevin Hogan brings us the details.
Teams of National Guard troops armed with rifles were deployed inside the perimeter fence surrounding the Capitol on Thursday, March 4th. Intel agents from the DHS and FBI warned of a possible plot by a militia group to storm the Capitol on or around that day and remove Democrat lawmakers. Capitol Police requested to extend the National Guard presence until May. Pelosi says she thinks they should stay as long as they are needed, although it's not her call. She addressed security at the Capitol more broadly.
It's going to take more money to protect the Capitol in a way that enables people to come here, children to come and see our democracy in action, all of you to cover what happens here safely.
Thousands of National Guard troops remain stationed at the Capitol. This as no protesters were anywhere in sight. Officials had also set up a fence around the perimeter that can't be scaled with barbed wire on top. DC's Mayor Muriel Bowser said she does not expect the fence to stay up in its current configuration until September and commented on the troop extension.
We don't know why additional forces have been requested until May. I mean, that's the most plain I can answer you. We don't know why. It was our expectation that the
Wait a minute, you're the mayor. How do you not know why they have additional forces? How do you not know why?
National Guard support would be lessened significantly around this time.
Twitter was abuzz with reactions to the situation in D.C. Fox's Laura Ingraham posted, "Where's the invasion?" And conservative activist Candace Owens said certain lawmakers are pretending there is a threat to the Capitol so they can justify a military occupation of the area. Senator Josh Hawley told Fox he thinks having National Guard troops and a barbed wire fence around the People's House indefinitely is the wrong choice. In response to the alleged threat near March 4th, the House changed their schedule by a few hours, but the Senate remained in session to debate the virus relief bill. The Pentagon says it's reviewing the request to extend the deployment of 5,000 National Guard troops another 2 months. Kevin Hogan, NTD News.
Huh. You see how that works? You see how that works? Looks like the 404 attempts were a big success. Ding. Ding, ding, ding. Shall we play a game? That's what's up. So where is it? What happened? Did you think that other people would know about it? Did you? Dang, 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 dang. Yes, and you should fear that of the good, because it's coming.
And Vice President Harris cast the tie-breaking vote to open debate on the pandemic relief bill. A new runoff election has been ordered by a judge in Mississippi, and a notary has been arrested. This after over 3/4 of one town's absentee ballots cast in the June Democratic runoff election were found to be invalid.
Whoa, that's a massive percentage. 78%. 78%. Oh, dear, 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 dear. 70. Wait, no one's contesting the election fraud there. I mean, why are they investigating it? We talked about that before the elections, didn't we? See, there's so much going on that people are not paying attention to. Wait till this gets the party started real good, because this is how you let the world see. You can't tell people, you got to show them.
Judge Jeff Wheel said there's evidence of fraud and criminal activity in how absentee ballots were handled and counted, and in how certain poll workers acted during the election in Aberdeen, Mississippi. As a result, a new runoff election for the Ward 1 alderman seat is necessary. The judge ruled that 66 of 84 absentee ballots that were cast, or close to 80%, should have never been counted. The declared winner of the seat had won by just 37 votes, while the challenger contested the results in court. The judge said several individuals involved willfully and corruptly violated one or more criminal statutes.
Knowingly and willingly. Oh, I mean, we have to start small before we expand, right?
So far, one woman has been arrested. And several GOP members of the Subcommittee on Immigration and Citizenship are calling for a hearing. They want to know if the Biden administration has a plan to stop the surge of migrants at the border. This as 1,600 arrests are made in a single border sector, among them criminals and a previously deported sex offender.
Over 1,600 illegal immigrants were arrested in 3 days in a single Texas border sector. Austin Scarrow, the chief Border Patrol agent for Del Rio sector, says these arrests include more than 25 smuggling cases, 2 criminals, and a convicted rapist who had previously been deported.
Those are the great people that Biden wants in our nation. Aren't they awesome? That's what's up. Now, remember, I warned about YouTube, didn't I? Hence why I need to stop casting there right now, and Facebook. So I'm giving you guys time to come over to Trovo and